Hello there and welcome to Wildlife with Effie Wild. This is episode number 11 and I'm calling this one Maybe It's Time. It's September. This is my birthday month. I turn 51 at the end of this month, September 30th. And we're moving into my favorite season of the year, autumn. I just love it. I love that it's sweater weather. I love that Halloween is almost here. I love the leaves turning and falling to the ground and crunching deliciously scented beneath my feet. I'm all about it. I worked on a spread for Year of Rumi that included leaf imagery as well, and I had all the supplies just hanging out on my table, so I decided to go ahead and repeat the process in a little bit of a different configuration for Wildlife. I just wanted you guys to see, how this goes, how this kind of spread can be created with such ease. It's just such an easy process, using collage papers and then homemade masks to create a focal image, and then doing some glazing and some stamping, and it was just a really fun spread to create. I'm working in a journal that I started for a project that I'm undertaking throughout the rest of this year and next year, and it's really a journal dedicated to the way I speak to myself. I did a project for Lifebook for the summit, which is upcoming on September 16th. The info to join that is below. It's free, and you guys are going to get 30 lessons in wellness and creativity from all of the artists that will be presenting lessons in Lifebook next year. So it's free. Go on and grab it. You'll get these amazing interviews and activities, and mine will be included. So the project that I worked on for the Lifebook Summit was about turning our bricks to bouquets. So what I mean by that is the things we say to ourselves about ourselves can be very harsh and very painful. I like to work with those in an empathetic way and then turn whatever those voices are saying around and reframe the statements so that I get kind of an affirmation, but not an affirmation like the ones that cause cognitive dissonance, because you feel like you're lying to yourself, right? You can work with like these generic affirmations and go look in the mirror and say, I love you, you matter, you're worth it, and suck your teeth and roll your eyes because it feels like a lie. But the way that I work with affirmations, especially when it comes to working with these kinds of things in the art journal, creates space for me to have statements that I make to myself that are really resonant and really true. I really work hard to find things to say to myself in response to the negative voices in my head that are true, that are I can accept them. I don't have to fight with myself in order to express that or say it or create an art journal spread around it. So you'll really want to come join the summit to get that full lesson. But this journal that I'm working in, I'm going to continue working in, and you're going to see it a lot here in Wildlife. I'm going to be working in it throughout, the rest of my life really, until it's full, and then I'll just start another one. It's basically a little cahier notebook. It's I'll show you the link to it. I bought it from a company called The Magic of I. It's got a really beautiful cover, but it's just meant for written journaling. It's just like a Moleskine cahier or similar composition notebook with like college rules. Actually, I think the rule is a little bit thinner, but that's neither here nor there. It's a really nice writing paper, not meant for mixed media. But one of the benefits of using a journal like this is you don't feel precious about it. It's just a notebook. It doesn't have to be on occasion. You can just come to the page whenever you want to without worrying too much about, I'm going to use my precious, expensive journal. It also creates really beautiful texture to work on paper like this, because you do have to do some work to make the paper stand up to the kinds of things that you might throw at it if you're working with mixed media. So I'll use a lot of collage to do that, a lot of gel medium and gesso, absorbent ground. I also glue 2 of the pages together on either side of the spread in order that the paper doesn't just melt on me. It also helps if the journal that you're using is sewn. That's kind of important, because if you're working with a book that's got a glued spine, then your pages are going to fall out at some point. So just make sure that your book is actually sewn. And then if you glue 2 pages together and work with lots of different mediums in order to bolster the strength of your pages, you should be okay. This spread is called Maybe It's Time because I'm thinking a lot, as one does, in autumn, in that time when the trees are letting go about letting go. I'm thinking about what needs to be released, what needs to be reassessed and tweaked, what habits do I want to let go of, what habits do I want to retain or begin. There was a lot of work done over the summer around the subject of pleasure and enjoyment and hedonism, because I've embraced hedonism as a personal value. And now that I've done that, I want to start looking at how to make more room for that in my life. And sometimes in order to make room for some things, you need to let go of other things. I'm especially wanting to let go of the way that I speak to myself. As definitely a huge issue that's on my mind right now. It's a kind of an urgent sort of thing that I'm going to be bringing into therapy. I've been catching myself talking to myself in very negative terms, like just really calling myself out for things like smoking cigarettes or having too many glasses of wine in the evening or neglecting myself. I should be getting dental work done. I'm putting off getting my cataract removed. I mean, I had the opportunity to go last week and I said no. So these are things that are coming up that have to do with my traumatic history. But the way that I'm talking to myself about those things is really harsh and really awful. And if somebody talked to me the way that I'm talking to myself right now, I would stab them in the face with a fork. Like, it's just not okay the way I'm talking to myself. So it's come to my awareness, and I'm, open to exploring it, and I'm really wanting to change that particular thing. So I'm thinking about how to release the negative self-talk, how to get more positive self-talk in my life. The process that I taught during the Life Book Summit is certainly a way that I'm going to be doing that. That will be something that I really invest in over the next few months and maybe years, depending on how long it takes me to get a gentler voice with myself. So that's going to be something that I will be working on in public view through the Wildlife Video podcast. But I'm also going to be working on it privately. I'm going to be working on it with myself in journal spreads that maybe don't feel like they're good for public consumption. Like, not everything is up for public gaze, right? So there may be times when I just keep that stuff private. But that work is still going to happen in this adorable little Kaye journal that I'm just finding so much fun to work in. Release is hard, right? Release is hard for anybody. It's really beautiful to think of it as a gift we give ourselves, as a way to make space for new things to come in. But that doesn't mean that it's not scary. It's still scary, especially if you have control issues, which I do, right? So if I'm attached to something, let's say a habit or a person or a relationship or a structure or a way of doing things, and I feel myself pressured to let go of it for whatever reason, that can bring up a lot of fear for me. So it's not an easy thing to consider, even though it's super healthy and super important to look at everything that's going on in your life with a critical eye, especially during the autumn months when we're coming up on the next year and we're going to want to be working with some ideas around change or what we want to bring in and what we want to let go of. It's important to do. It's important to engage it, but it's pretty scary for me. I think it's pretty scary for anybody. There's not a lot in my life that, like I have a problem with letting go of in terms of things. Like, I have no problem decluttering. I can go through my closets and I'll donate everything in there that doesn't spark joy, as they say in the KonMari system. I can let go of art supplies. I can let go of a lot of things with ease, but there are certain habits in my life or certain relationships in my life that I have an enormous amount of time letting go of. And some of the ways that I am in relationship with other people, I'm also finding difficult to let go of. So there's a lot of that sort of thinking going on for me. So I'm going to be exploring that in our upcoming Burr months, September, October, November. I'm also in the middle of working on bringing new things in, like travel. I went to Ottawa for a week and had a beautiful time with my daughters. We wandered around Ottawa and also Montreal, which was just an incredible experience for me. I'm actually from there. I was born and raised there and spent, a fair bit of my life there. And going back as an adult, going back as a grown woman with grown children was a really, really healing and an interesting experience for me. triggers came up for sure. A lot of the trauma that I experienced in my childhood happened in Montreal. But they came up, and then I was able to sort of be with that sort of rising emotion. There was sadness, there was grief, there was anger, there was anxiety. And I was able to then release it. And that was really, really powerful. Really, really powerful. So travel is definitely a thing. And I'm actually going to Toronto today. So I'm going to throw this video up for you. And then I'm headed to Toronto. I'm going to a concert with a friend. And then afterward, I'm going to spend the weekend wandering on my own. I have no plans to see anybody. I'm not doing anything social. I've booked myself into a B&B. I might go to a museum. I might go just walking around. I might go to Toronto Island. We'll see. It depends on the weather. I just wanted to have the experience of being a grown woman out in the world in a big city where there's lots to see and lots to do, and just sort of let my instincts guide me and have an adventure. Just have an adventure. I booked the train home on Sunday, so I will be home in time to do a live activation gathering with my moonshine folks. But Saturday's mine and all mine, and I'm really, really excited and looking forward to seeing how it feels for me to just wander the city and be with myself in that particular way. So that's it for the free version of this podcast, you guys. If you want the extended version, you're going to have to come find me on Patreon. That's patreon.com/FEWild. The rest of this will just be time-lapse with music for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in all of our places. For those of you on Patreon, stay tuned for a little bit more.